arrested a couple weeks ago, October 11th over here. That went around the world, and that information. And there was a veteran who was down in Costa Rica, and he saw what was going on, and he got inspired by us, and subsequently has joined Veterans for Peace, and I consider him a long-distance member of the Smedleys. He contacted us and said that he would like to come up and talk to the folks at Occupy Boston, and which he has done. He's a highly decorated Vietnam veteran, and I'm really proud to present to you Jim Scarborough.
Thank you, Pat, and thank you all for turning out this chilly evening. Coming up here from Costa Rica, it's cold to me, but I'm happy to be here. As Pat said, my name is Jim Scarborough. I am a former U.S. Army infantry officer and a Vietnam veteran. I'm also an attorney.
You're a little louder,
It's
Jim.
a little bit of a difference because what I want to talk about is about the First Amendment rights that we have. Some of you have seen my sign urging other veterans to join us in support of the Occupy movement. For those of you who haven't, okay, let me know if I get too loud. For those of you who haven't seen the sign, I'm going to tell you what it says because it capsulizes my message. It's an appeal to fellow veterans. We've put our lives on the line and we've shed our blood for this country. Some gave all gave some. We owe it to our fallen comrades, to ourselves, and to our country to take a stand against a corrupt system of money and power which is destroying our country, stealing our future, and dishonoring our sacrifice. You're damned right, it's class warfare. It's our right and our duty to stand against the 1%, a self-appointed political and economic elite who have stolen control of our country. We are the 99%, and we will take our country back. Join us.
Yeah.
Those are words spoken from the heart. It took me about 5 minutes to put that sign together because I felt so strongly about it. And after doing that, I decided that I wanted to elaborate on that a little bit, both in salute to my fellow veterans and to those of you who appreciate and understand what our veterans have done for the country, and more importantly to us right now, what they have done and are doing for the Occupy movement. I'm not here only as a member of the 99%. I'm also here because I'm a member of that very elite group of our society, a group not of privilege or wealth or power, but one bound together by shared sacrifice, by mutual trust, and by the solemn oath that we've taken to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. It is an oath that I took as a young man when I accepted my commission to serve this country as a military officer. I remember as I spoke the words of this oath, the dignity and the honor that they invoked, the pride in my nation and the sense of purpose and of grave responsibility that they conveyed. I said, I, James Robert Scarborough, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter, so help me God. My grandfather, my father, my uncle, both of my brothers, and my son Kevin have all served in the U.S. military in time of war. They and every other veteran and every active duty service member have sworn this same oath. In doing so, we stand in a proud tradition that began on this very soil over 200 years ago, before there was a professional military or even a United States. Those early soldiers were united then, as we are now, in a common purpose to defend their rights against a ruling elite of which they played no part and in which they had no voice. We stand with them. These early revolutionaries, our forefathers, whose final words above their signatures in the Declaration of Independence declared, "We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor." Although my time of military service is long since past, I've never been released of that oath, nor have I ever forsaken it. For I too have pledged my sacred honor, and the simple truth behind my presence here is that I'm honor-bound and am duty sworn by my oath. In the early days of the Occupy protests, I saw Veterans for Peace and other veterans stand up against the Boston police to protect the peaceful, nonviolent citizen protesters here in Boston, as they recited our military oath. I saw Marine Sergeant Shamer Thomas confronting police at Occupy Wall Street in New York and repeating over and over to them, "There's no honor in this. There's no honor in this." I saw these things and I realized that I too must make a stand. I can't speak for all veterans in voicing my support of the Occupy movement. There are many veterans who may disagree with me. However, I think I can speak for all veterans in saying that whatever our differences and whatever our opinions, we consider it our sacred honor and our charge to defend the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It is this commitment to bear true faith and allegiance to our oath that binds us together as a band of brothers and sisters. This has always been the true essence of military service, and it is our allegiance to this oath that both separates us and binds us to the people we serve, the people of the United States. We veterans are separate from the civilian population in the sense that we've undertaken a special responsibility to stand in defense of this nation, even unto death. And many of our comrades, including some of my closest friends, have given their last full measure, and they've paid the ultimate price. Always. As a group, we've earned a special place in society, one we've paid for with shared sacrifice, with faithful service, and often with our blood. So my reason for being here today is far more than a protest against broken government and social injustice. For me, it is a matter of my personal honor. And although I may not speak for all veterans, I do hope to speak to all veterans and add my voice to the growing number of us who have spoken out in defense of the Occupy movement and who believe that in so doing, we are bearing true faith and allegiance to our sworn oath.
Okay, Jim. Amen. Amen, brother. All right. Yeah.
It was here in the streets of Boston that our American form of democracy was born. The grievances of those American colonists against the British Crown were no more severe than those we have today against our own government.
Thank you. Right now.
Those grievances, coupled with the arrogance and the intransigence of the British ruling class and the Crown, resulted in the armed revolution that bought us our freedom and our independence. I think that we would be well served to remember what our founding fathers said then. Governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to those ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to effect their safety and happiness. We are fortunate to enjoy the freedoms, We're fortunate to enjoy the freedoms that our founding fathers won for us with their blood and sacrifice. These freedoms are so integral to our values as a nation that they form the very foundation of our system of government. We sometimes call them the four freedoms, and they comprise the First Amendment to the United States Constitution that I have sworn to protect and defend. They provide that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. There's nothing in the Constitution that creates or guarantees the rights of financial institutions, corporations, political parties, paid lobbyists, or the rich and powerful who to control and manipulate our government for their own ends and purposes. There's nothing in the Constitution that contemplates the existence of a class of professional politicians whose driving impulse is to keep themselves and their political cronies in perpetual power. Yet these are the forces that we face today, and they threaten everything we stand for as a nation. As a society, we have become so accustomed to the trappings and institutions of government that we've lost sight of their meaning and purpose. We've allowed our rights to erode bit by bit as they've been usurped by a privileged elite who now rule over us for their own benefit and to their own purposes. Our Constitution has served as an example to the entire world of how a free people can govern themselves through democratic means. It provides the framework for a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And it guarantees the American people the right to govern ourselves and to choose our government. We are now told that elected and even appointed officials have the right to govern us, that they have the right to choose the time, place, and manner when we can exercise our rights of free speech, of assembly, and of petition to our government to redress grievances. I say to them, you are our servants, not our masters. I reminded our elected officials and our appointed officials that it is to exercise our rights that governments are instituted among men deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Our present form of government has become so destructive to these ends that we stand on the verge of withdrawing our consent and invoking our right to alter or abolish it and to institute new government. These are strong words, and it's a strong remedy, but they're not ours. They're those of our founding fathers expressed in the Declaration of Independence. But neither are they idle posturing or a historical curiosity. They're our heritage as a free people, and they're our natural and constitutional right. We stand firm in our resolve to alter this government and return it to the people. Our Constitution provides us with the mechanisms to do so through peaceful means, not only through the elective process, but also through our rights of free speech, of peaceable assembly, and of petition to our government to redress our grievances. Deny us these rights and ignore our grievances at your peril. Many have criticized the Occupy movement, saying that we can't succeed or have any lasting influence unless we evolve into a political movement. They say we must take sides in the upcoming elections, choose candidates, wage political campaigns, and express our views at the ballot box. I answer them saying that our voices are not being heard and cannot be heard over the maddening din of partisan politics and broken campaign promises.
Hear, hear.
Our vote isn't being counted and counts for nothing.
Hear, hear.
We can't compete with Wall Street money. We can't compete with multi-million-dollar political action committees. We can't compete with high-powered professional lobbyists. And we can't compete with self-serving, hyper-partisan political parties. I say to them that the political process and the freedoms guaranteed to us under the Constitution encompass far more than the right to vote and to wage political campaigns, and that the true safeguard of our freedoms and of our political process isn't to be found in our right to vote. It is to be found in the plain meaning of those rights guaranteed to us by the First Amendment, our freedoms of speech and assembly, our right to petition our government for redress of grievances. The Occupy movement has already been the greatest demonstration in the history of our nation of the power and the necessity of the First Amendment protections. Through these protests, we are participating in the political process in its highest and its most constitutionally protected form. I remind everyone of the words found in the preamble to our Constitution, that we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. We, the people of the United States, own the Constitution. It is the living legacy of our forefathers, and it is our birthright. It shall not be taken from us or denied us because it's not convenient for government to accommodate our needs and to concede to us those freedoms which are ours by right, not because government has given them to us. Government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed, not the other way around. We, the people of the United States, rule this country, not the politicians in Washington who have failed to represent us, not the mayors of cities all across the nation who have attempted to silence our voices and crush our movement, not the police who have met peaceful protest with increasing violence and unjustifiable use of force. Most importantly, perhaps, not even our courts, sworn to uphold the Constitution, but who too often have twisted and perverted the plain meaning of the First Amendment and denied us the protection of our rights to speak freely, to assemble peaceably, and to petition our government for redress of grievances. We call ourselves the 99%, but as an organized group, we remain relatively small and powerless. But our strength is growing, our determination is firm, and despite the forces arrayed against us, we have the power of right and justice with us. And the weight of history is on our side, not theirs. And so, borrowing from the words of Shakespeare, I say to you, my fellow veterans, and every other American who believes we deserve a better government and a better society, that we few, we band of brothers, have been called once more into the breach, dear friends, once more. This is a battle we can win and we must win. Through our peaceful occupation and sheer physical presence, through our resolve and our determination, we have already sounded a message that cannot long be ignored or dismissed. By our courage, our determination, and our perseverance, we shall prevail. For we are the 99%, and we will take our country back. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, brother. You said it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Some fine words, Jim.
Thank you.
Goddamn.
Came from the heart.
Came from the heart.
Hey, brother. Good to see you. Who's your brother?